Hello and welcome to Backyard Cigars. I'm holding here a Partagas Black Label Clasico. This cigar is 5 and 1/4 by 54. Designed for those who appreciate a Robusto but just want a little something more. So the extra ring gauge really gives it a little more oomph and definitely makes it last a little longer. Now, I'll just come right out and tell you, I have smoked this many times. And man, each and every single time I smoke it, I form a different opinion of it, but one thing remains the same. And that is, after every experience, I do come out a pleased man. Now, you might say, then what's the point of even running through the rest of the review and the details of the cigar if we already know you like it and we know you've smoked it and you're telling us already it's a good deal, it's a good cigar? But there's more to the story. I'll be right back. So Partagas, they have the Cuban brand, and then they have the Dominican brand run by General Cigars. They own the rights to manufacture the Partagas brand in DR. For the longest, the legendary status of Partagas was, without a doubt, established in Cuba. Now, I'm not going to get much into the Cuban history of the Partagas line. I'll get to that another time when I'm actually smoking a Cuban Partagas. But Jaime Partagas is the man who the cigar is named after. But in Cuba, for the most part, Ramon Cifuentes was the man who really took charge and drove it to its success. Now, Ramon Cifuentes Jr., his son, was the man who had to flee Cuba, ended up, for a short amount of time, even considered Jamaica, but ended up in the Dominican Republic. And in the Dominican Republic, in the late 70s, he decided he was going to make his mark there. And at that point, there was a gentleman by the name of Daniel Nunez. And Angel Daniel Nunez, let's just say Daniel Nunez, was an apprentice. He was learning the trade. He had studied with the Tobacco Institute in DR. He had been working for General Cigars since, I believe, 1972, 1973. And he was a willing student. And Ramon Cifuentes tutored him in the tobacco business for several years. And this created an incredible amount of talent for General Cigars, because little did they know that what was happening with Ramon Cifuentes and Daniel Nunez was that there was a bond between the two men that was being created, and it would only grow. So this bond just flourished, and the student became immersed within the tobacco business. He just learned everything he could about it, everything from the seeds to the fermentation, everything. And Cifuentes was a strict instructor. He was strict. He even employed a little bit of physical punishment for some things that may have been done wrong. That didn't matter to Daniel Nunez. He was going to learn this business no matter what. Born in the Dominican Republic, he had been around tobacco his whole life. Not in the sense of the big time like General Cigars or these big legendary Cuban families, but he knew what it was about. He grew up 15 miles from Santiago, where they decided to set up shop and start growing tobacco. And a lot of you know that today Daniel Nunez is an executive at General Cigars, and he oversees Partagas and Macanudo. So he's got his hands in the business. He's learning from one of the best. And as time goes by, he starts actually doing things like developing tobacco strains, looking for innovation. I mean, just developing anything he could get his hands on without trying to cause too many waves, because he didn't want to change traditions. He just wanted to improve anything he could for the company. He was so invested and invested in every single way you could imagine. In his own words, tobacco became his religion. And working under General Cigars was his dream. And so Daniel Nunez now is a man that, close to 70 years of age, is a legend in the tobacco business. Perhaps some of you might not have heard of him, and that's okay, because he's a really humble guy, down to earth, quiet speak. You know, he's just not the type of person that draws attention to himself. But his cigars will catch your eye and will get your attention. This Partagas Black Label Clasico, it has a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, and it is a medio tiempo Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper. Medio tiempo, basically the leaves at the very top of the plant. They're full of flavor, they're tough, they're thick, and man, they're sweet. They're really sweet. And when done right, because a lot of people in the cigar industry have been bragging about their medio tiempo leaves, which are great, but you got to do it right. And so they leave them to mature or just age a little longer before harvesting. And apparently it took them 10 years to develop the wrapper for this cigar. 10 years. So it wasn't overnight that they just said, oh, we're just going to scrap up some medio tiempo leaves and we're going to brag about it because medio tiempo is, you know, supposedly supposed to be the best flavor that you can get in a wrapper. Again, if it's done right and if it's balanced right, this wrapper is incredibly sweet. Just lighting the cigar up, putting it to your lips, it is sweet and you taste it. But apart from tasting the sweetness of this wrapper, the binder is another thing that Nunez developed in the DR, and that is La Vega Especial binder. Now, La Vega Especial sounds special because it's got the word in Spanish special, especial, but it actually really is special because it's a Dominican strain and it is mainly used in either wrapper or binder, but in this case, in this cigar, it's used for the binder. And it just adds another layer of robust flavor. La Vega Especial is potent and it has that strength. This is a full-bodied cigar from start to finish, but it's full-bodied and at the same time it's well balanced. So you never get this feeling that you're nicotine drunk or that it's going to overwhelm you. The draw is rather conservative. It's a good draw, but it's rather conservative. It burns slowly. And one thing I love about it is, for myself, is that obviously I smoke outdoors. So a cigar like this, whether it's summertime or wintertime, you're going to get a lot of flavor out of it. It's just packed full of flavor. So for me, I know that the coldness will mute the flavors a little bit, but in this cigar, even muted down, it's just tremendous the amount of flavor that I get from it. It's 40 degrees. And I can smell the aroma. I can taste all of the flavors almost as if when it was summertime. One more thing. The filler is a combination of Nicaraguan and Piloto Dominican Cubano. So you've got that Dominican filler with the Nicaraguan in there for the blend. And it just tastes amazing. I'm going to start jotting off the flavors in a minute. Leather, cocoa, hints of coffee, sweet tobacco. And when I mean sweet, I mean really sweet. So that sweet Maduro flavor. And, you know, all of that together is just delicious. I mean, that's all I can say. It's just delicious. If you don't believe me, try it. Tell me what you think of it if you try it. And if you've had it, look, I've heard some concerns that sometimes the draw is a little tight. You got to cut a little more, or maybe, you know, in some cases, some folks have given it a little poke. My instance has never been a plug cigar. It's just been a conservative draw. And the aroma. Have to mention it once more because usually in the colder weathers, I lose that. I lose a little bit of that rich aroma, and in this cigar, not lost a bit of that aroma. Daniel Nunez grew up 50 miles away from Santiago, from where headquarters is at. And, you know, I mentioned how he started innovating, trying to develop tobacco in different ways. And he tells a story of how they were growing Ecuadorian Connecticut in DR, and when he finally had a decent batch, they looked at it and they were like, it's good, but it's just stronger, a little darker. It just seems, I mean, the explanation for was basically the conditions, the soil. That changed everything for the way that those seeds were being grown. But that didn't stop him. And this, we're talking long before the Dominican Puro by Arturo Fuente, Calito Fuente. We're talking long before that. He was out there trying to do things, make things happen for Dominican cigars in a way that hadn't been done before. And in this baby right here, I think it's $8 a stick. You get yourself a major bang for your buck. And forgive me if I'm a little too excited here, but you know, if I had to think and compare, like some exciting cigars that are out there right now that we love and have been raving about, I'm thinking Foundation cigars, Toro size, you know, that employ the Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. Hey, Connecticut broadleaf wrapper right here. A couple of dollars less. And I'm not taking anything away from Foundation. I love them. I love those cigars. But those are a little more rustic and leathery. espresso bitter chocolate. This is just much sweeter, so it's just a different profile. Yeah, this is what I had to say about this. A legendary Dominican tobacco man by the name of Angel Daniel Nunez, General Cigars, for bringing this man along and letting him be a part of the company at a very early age and learning under one of the best, Ramon Cifuentes, and just allowing him to do what he does best and come up with different ideas on how to procure tobacco and grow tobacco. I mean, this is an executive that, and I'm not saying he's the only one, that has been out there on the fields, and he knows what it's to labor, and he knows what it's like to take the tobacco through the different processes and look after it from seed to box. His story's out there. If you don't believe me, just give it a look. The guy's incredible, and I commend him with this cigar and many of the other cigars, fine cigars that he has produced under General Cigars. And this one is just another one that I like to bring out in the cold weather. I feel that can tolerate it and is uber great in the summer and still really, really good in the winter time. So thank you for watching. This has been another Backyard Cigar Review. Thank you.